Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 1139. A different form of companionship. Above the endless grayish-white fog, Klein's figure appeared in the ancient palace. He only looked around briefly, and he realized that there were a few changes. The most obvious point was that the state of the mysterious space and its layout had been fully projected into his spirit body. Even at a great distance, he could still see the grayish-white clouds and that strange door of light. Apart from the palace that I conjured and the door of light that originally existed, there's nothing here. It's empty, boundless, and full of power of a high level. As he murmured, he sat down, raised his right hand, and gently lifted it up. In the blink of an eye, the entire gray fog boiled. The mysterious space it carried quaked as beams of slightly dark light emitted. When the light gathered together, it condensed into a translucent angel with illusory wings on its back, as per Klein's will. It had the same level and power as an angel. It was majestic and sacred, with an oppressive aura. There's no need to add the Black Emperor card, the Tyrant card, or the Red Priest card. There's no need to use the Sea God's scepter either. With my power alone, I can stir most of the powers of this mysterious space to its fullest potential, allowing the Fool's Angel to become a true Sequence 2 angel. Of course, this angel is unable to respond to prayers or be maintained for too long. It only exists in the embrace, form, and within a few attacks, having some powers in the domain of miracles. Indeed, being able to revive is a gift from Sapphira Castle. As for how many more times I can be resurrected, I can't come to a conclusion now. If I can obtain a Grade 0 sealed artifact and use its level to observe it, I should be able to see it more clearly. I'll just treat it as one more time. It's not a bad thing to err while being cautious. This reminds me to be careful and cautious. This is the way for Beyonders of the Seer pathway to survive. Unfortunately, this miracle can only be used for myself for now. Yes, at most, in order to truly possess and control this mysterious space, I have to become an angel, or even a Sequence 1 angel at least. It lives up to its name as Sapphira Castle. As for that strange door of light, its requirements are even higher. It's impossible to tell if there are any hidden dangers at the moment. What's the meaning of the existence of Sapphira Castle? Baiting transmigrators to revive the original creator? With a flick of his right hand, the holy and powerful angel dissipated in midair. The entire Sapphira Castle calmed down. Following that, Klein stood up and took a step towards the grayish-white cloud in midair. He stood in front of the strange door of light formed from countless spherical lights. The door of light was tainted with some bluish-black color. Each spherical light's essence was a transparent and translucent worm that formed into a ball. As he stared at the transparent cocoons, hanging by the black threads, Klein extended his right hand and slowly reached out to the door of light in an attempt to touch it. 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. His hand finally touched the edge of the door of light, but it passed right through as if it was just an illusion. However, compared to his previous attempt, the illusory door of light was clearly a little stickier, as though it was about to turn corporeal. This is an item that represents the essence of Sapphira Castle? After pondering for a few seconds, he turned and returned to the ancient palace. Without any delay, he left the world above the gray fog and began experimenting with the various powers he had just acquired. I have to first get an honorific name. The prayer response range for a Sequence 3 Beyonder is a region. This range is different depending on the authority that one wields. Clearly, a Sea King's range is a relatively far-reaching type. Therefore, this honorific name of mine also has its limits. The protector of all the poor children in Backland? It feels odd. Yes, other people might have a limitation, but it's not necessarily the case for me. I can use the Blessed of the Spirit World and Sapphira Castle as a replacement. I should be the only one who is blessed in both regions. It's unique enough. This way, as long as someone is in the same city or district as me, they can use this honorific name to pray to me. There's nothing I can do if we're not in the same area. I can't possibly do the same as throwing the Sea God's scepter above the gray fog, splitting a few worms of spirit to the world above the gray fog, and using Sapphira Castle's level to respond throughout the entire world. Although I can't confirm the relationship between the Dark Angel and the ancient Sun God, this is enough to remind me to be careful with my avatars and marionettes. Also, it's not as simple as splitting a few worms. A large number of worms of spirit have to be left in Sapphira Castle to achieve the desired effect. I'm currently unable to do that. Right, my mental state isn't too bad. I don't have a dissociative disorder, nor do I have the irresistible urge to become cold and terrifying. This means that the mark of a scholar of Yuran history is his anchor. Also, the Emperor's situation worsened only after he became an angel, causing him to have no choice but to rely on his believers as anchors to anchor him in place. I'm still one huge level away. I need to find out what else can be used as anchors, apart from believers, to ensure that nothing goes wrong. Amidst his thoughts, Klein picked up pen and paper. He wrote the first line of his honorific name. The blessed of the spirit world and Sapphira Castle. After some thought, he began writing the second and third lines based on his rich experience and knowledge he got from his godhood patterns. The mystery stemming from ancient times. The witness of an extended history. Since a sequence 3 Beyonder wasn't a true deity, he couldn't use a 3-line description. After some thought, he added 2 more lines. Protector of magic and drama performers. The Great Gehrman Sparrow. In fact, non-true deities could also use 3-line descriptions, but one of them had to rely on the level of a true god. For example, Klein could use Blessed of the Evernight Goddess. Under such circumstances, it was essentially similar to a type of summoning incantation, not an honorific name for prayers, similar to that of messengers. And if the messenger was a spirit world creature, the restriction of being the blessed of a particular true deity was unnecessary. Therefore, it was often unknown what would be summoned, making it rather dangerous. After repeatedly deliberating for a while, Klein controlled his marionette, Enani, and recited the honorific name in ancient Hermes. A few seconds later, Klein raised his right hand and rubbed his temples with an odd expression. He didn't hear the prayer. What's wrong with this honorific name? Klein carefully deliberated over it a few times and gradually came up with an idea. I might not be the only blessed of the spirit world and Sapphira Castle. The hounds of Fulgrim also count. I have to add a limitation. After some modifications, Enani once again recited in ancient Hermes. The blessed of the spirit world and Sapphira Castle. The mystery stemming from ancient times. The witness of an extended history. Protector of Backlund magic and drama performers. The Great Gehrman Sparrow. I pray for your blessings. I hope you can light up the darkness in front of me. Just as Enani's voice faded, Klein heard his prayer. Furthermore, it was only heard by a few worms of spirit. It didn't affect his actual body at all. This is very different from the prayer coming from Sapphira Castle. It's very clear. With a thought, his worm of spirit gave a response based on the rules he had made ahead of time. With a whoosh, a ball of fire appeared in front of Enani. It floated in midair, illuminating the entire room. Not bad. If I use Hermes to pray, I have to set up a ritual and draw symbols. As for essential oils and herbs, it doesn't matter if they're provided or not. Am I someone who will be pleased by these things? The symbols are formed from the scrolls representing history, the complete eye that represents witness, and the lines symbolizing change. For the time being, Klein had no intention of spreading his honorific name. After all, letting others know that Gehrman's Sparrow had reached sequence 3 would be a case of him losing a trump card. Furthermore, he had the alternate identity as Sea God and the Fool. There was no need for a new honorific name. Pa! With a snap of his fingers, he lit the paper with the honorific name of Gehrman's Sparrow on the table. A scholar of Ur also has the means to create a fog to lower the temperature, but it's not a core power. Next, I have to try to summon a projection from the historical void. Who shall be my first volunteer? As he muttered silently to himself, Klein suddenly sighed. He then half-closed his eyes and used his godhood to allow a portion of his spirit to enter the gray fog and roam amidst history. Following the various locations that he had previously established, he instantly arrived in front of a spot made of light. There was a spacious and bright room with 2 rows of floor-to-ceiling windows in the spot of light. In the room, a man wearing a dark red coat embroidered with golden lines was standing by the window, looking at the place where the sun had set. He looked to be in his 30s, with long chestnut curly hair, blue eyes, high nose bridge, and thin lips. He had a neat mustache and looked rather good. Roselle Gustave. In a street in North Borough, a thin-faced young man with a wide forehead and a monocle was sitting in a coffee shop by the side of the road. He held a fountain pen and thought seriously. He raised his other hand and pinched his monocle. Finally, he wrote down a sentence. "The blessed of the spirit world and Sapphira Castle." Then, the fountain pen stopped moving, as if he had not thought of what to write next. In a rented 2-bedroom apartment at East Borough, Klein took out his golden pocket watch and opened it. He had already made an appointment with Miss Sharon and Merrick to meet in an uninhabited house tonight. After some thought, he raised his right hand and grabbed at the space in front of him. A simple, ancient brass key appeared in his palm. This was the master key that had once helped him defeat Wraith Steve and prevent the true creator from descending. It allowed one to hear Mr. Door's ravings on the night of the full moon. Now, by summoning it back from the historical void, it could be used for 10 minutes. To a scholar of yore, anything that they once possessed, regardless if they were eventually sold, returned, destroyed, or lost for all sorts of reasons, can never really be considered lost. They just exist alongside the scholar of yore in a different form of companionship. Looking at the master key in his hand, Klein sighed in satisfaction. With this item, if he could grasp the corresponding ritual, he could directly speak to Mr. Door as well. After putting away the master key, he put on his double-breasted frock coat and silk top hat, picked up his golden cane, and walked out of the room.